Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC 282. Blachowicz versus Ankalaev, and I can't wait for this light heavyweight world championship bout. Of course, you guys know the deal. This wasn't supposed to be a title fight, but Jiří Procházka was supposed to be taking on Glover Teixeira in a rematch for the belt on this card. Jiří Procházka got really badly injured, so he had to vacate the belt because he's going to be out for a very long time. Glover Teixeira did not accept a fight with Ankalaev for the belt, so they offered it to Jan Blachowicz, and now they're going to be doing Ankalaev versus Blachowicz for the world championship to save the card, essentially. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a card because they always like to have at least a title fight on the card unless Conor McGregor is headlining, as we know. But this is still a very good fight. Really looking forward to it. Two top-level light heavyweight fighters, and I do believe that Ankalaev is going to get the win, but I respect Jan Blachowicz as a contender enough to know that he's going to give Ankalaev some problems. He has a reach advantage here, a 3-inch reach advantage. Of course, I feel like it's like a Dagestani thing. I'm not even trying to poke fun here, but they got really short arms, don't they? It seems to be a thing. Like, I've never seen a Dagestani guy with like a weirdly long reach for their weight class. It's like they're built to grapple, really, with those like really small limbs that are really easy to sort of get the strength out of. You know what I mean? They're built for strength in the arms rather than range, if you will. So Ankalaev has a 75-inch reach. Jan Blachowicz with a 78-inch reach. So that is going to give him a little bit of like a boxing advantage here. But I feel like Ankalaev, the way he fights on the feet is going to be good. And I think he can stay out of danger against Jan Blachowicz on the feet. But he also has the option to try and take this to the ground, which I think is going to give him the massive advantage because he has to do his game and Jan Blachowicz has to see what Ankalaev is going to do. And that means that Ankalaev's going to be able to lead the dance. In my opinion, there's always an advantage for the fighter that's leading the dance the majority of the time. And I think he's going to get this one done over Jan Blachowicz. I just saw Rakic in his last fight against Jan Blachowicz. Listen, went into the fight injured. Sure, got outstruck by Jan Blachowicz. But I'm going to tell you why he got outstruck by Jan Blachowicz in hindsight, even though I picked Rakic to win. I picked Rakic to win by taking down Jan Blachowicz and working his grappling game on him. And seeing Alexander Rakic get down Jan Blachowicz in the second round and control him on the ground for almost the entire round, it doesn't look good to me going into a fight against Ankalaev, especially when you're a guy like Blachowicz, who does like to throw kicks and likes to throw him to the body. And you got a guy like Ankalaev who can catch those kicks, tip you over, or even just shoot in for a takedown anyway and get you down. I know Glover Teixeira did struggle for a little bit against Jan Blachowicz, but he did get him down a bunch of times and dominate him on the ground once he was down there. I'm not saying that Ankalaev's going to get an immediate finish on the ground against Jan Blachowicz, but I do believe he's going to be able to control him on the ground, slow him down as the fight goes on, and just have the naturally better gas tank in those later rounds. He's been 5 rounds before, which is a very good thing for him because, you know, normally at light heavyweight, especially for a guy who's not really as known as Ankalaev, it's sort of like a rare thing for him to have gone 5 rounds. But he went 5 rounds against Thiago Santos. Fair play at a very slow pace, but, you know, he still went 5 rounds and he kept up the cardio and stuff like that. He got dropped in that fight as well, so it's not like he's got to watch out for things happening for the first time against him in terms of getting dropped by a big power puncher or even, you know, going into those later rounds that he's never been before. So he's been to the later rounds. He's been dropped before and bounced back to win like he did against Thiago Santos. He did both of those things in the very same fight. And he's got a ton of momentum as well. He fought in July, dominated Anthony Smith. Fair play to an injury, but still dominated that fight and won it very clearly. And Jan Blachowicz hasn't fought since May. That was a little bit of an anticlimactic fight as well with the injury. But I want to say why I believe Jan Blachowicz did so well on the feet against Rakic and why he may not do as well on the feet against Ankalaev. Because Jan Blachowicz is a defensive striker. He'll sort of like go tit for tat with people and do it better than them in a way. He won't really initiate with like massive combos unless he knows that he's already a little bit of a step ahead. Then he'll start sort of stepping through with his shots, throwing a couple punch combination and following up with a body kick underneath it. Like once he realized he had Dominic Reyes' number, then he started to really put it down and go after him. But against Israel Adesanya, he didn't really crash forward too much outside of maybe some moments in the second round. But against Ankalaev, or against Rakic, Rakic and Adesanya throw the same kind of kicks, and they were doing so against Blachowicz. They were throwing a lot of leg kicks, round kicks to the body. Adesanya was throwing some head kicks here and there. Adesanya only really had success with like a teep to the body, a front kick to the body, even a spinning back kick to the body and stuff like that. I feel like Ankalaev, he's going to do a really good job of keeping Jan Blachowicz hands up high. And I don't think he's going to be chopping at the legs of Jan Blachowicz, seeing that Rakic got his legs destroyed going to the legs of Jan Blachowicz. And Adesanya, the same situation as well. I think Ankalaev, he's not going to go to the legs as much. He's not going to try chopping them down. I think we're going to see a lot of front kicks to the body, couple spinning back kicks to the body. And I think he's going to throw a lot of high kicks. He does throw a lot of high kicks. And he throws a lot of high kicks at the end of his combination as well. And I think that's something that he's going to have to use against Jan Blachowicz, because it's going to keep Jan's hands glued to his head, keep a very high guard. You know, he's going to just focus on sort of checking kicks and keeping that guard up nice and high to watch out for those head kicks. And I think if he starts sort of like throwing some combinations with the hands and finishing with that head kick, the way he did against Junior Albini to get the finish, and the way he does often in fights as well, like he did against Kutalaba early on in their fight. If he throws the hands, gets the hands of Jan Blachowicz up high, and starts trying to throw head kicks, Blachowicz is going to condition himself to keep those hands up high after the combinations are done. So if Ankalaev then starts, who knows, in the second round, throwing a couple of punches and shooting a double leg, Jan's hands are going to be way up high. He's not going to have like natural underhooks or an ability to get them to an underhook position very fast. And I think that's where Ankalaev can start surprising Jan Blachowicz and taking him down as the fight goes on. And I just think if he gets his control off and he can get into half guard on top, I think it's going to start to slow down Jan Blachowicz, who's 39 years of age. And I know that age doesn't really mean a massive deal in the light heavyweight division, because we saw Glover doing really well against Yuri before he lost that fight, but I still think it is a factor. You know what I mean? In terms of like, you know, Jan Blachowicz, he's had the belt. You know what I mean? He's had the belt. I'm not saying he's not going to be hungry for this fight, but Ankalaev's going to be hungrier for this fight. That's a fact. He hasn't yet touched a belt. He hasn't really started making too good of money. I mean, he's made some money in his career. I'm sure he's on a decent contract at the moment, but hasn't made that money where he can start relaxing and start thinking about what's next for his career. He hasn't touched a belt yet. He hasn't achieved his dreams yet. So, and I still don't believe he'll even consider it a dream achieved, even if he does win against Blachowicz. I mean, sure, he'll be happy if he wins. But I think both of these guys know deep down they got to beat Yuri or Glover to get the belt, because you're kind of beating, in Jan Blachowicz, the third best like heavyweight on the roster, whilst being the fourth best, and then considering yourself number one for winning, which just doesn't make any sense. So I reckon the winner of this will take on Glover Teixeira, and then Teixeira will fight the winner for the belt. The winner of that one will hopefully take on Yuri Prohaska when Yuri Prohaska comes back and hopefully fights for the belt upon his return. So I'm looking forward to a bit more of an active light heavyweight division. We've had a bit of a break in between fights here and there recently, so hopefully we get things going again. And yeah, I believe in Ankalaev here. I really do. I think his hands are very crisp. He does make some mistakes, but I don't think Jan Blachowicz is going to be aggressive enough, knowing that the takedown threat is there, to really capitalize on those mistakes. Also, Ankalaev is a counter striker, so I think this is going to be very patient on the feet early on. I don't see Ankalaev taking risks that he doesn't need to take. And again, that head kick, I just think it's going to keep Blachowicz's hands up higher. It's going to bruise up his forearms a whole bunch as the fight goes on. And then more and more, as he's done with the boxing exchanges, he can start looking for those level changes. Because, yeah, as I said, like, I mean, I can look back on this just to make sure. But didn't Rakic, I think he got down Jan Blachowicz once in their fight. And it was like a full round of control. Yeah, he got down Jan Blachowicz once in their fight, like 30 seconds into round 2, and had 4 minutes and 33 seconds of control time. And that's just not a good look. And then it was kind of even in the third, tit for tat. And then he blew his knee out, moving backwards. I know it was because of Jan Blachowicz's check, but still, it's just not a good look, is it, seeing that? Seeing Rakic being able to control him and being able to escape a triangle attempt of Jan Blachowicz and stay on top and just do work. I also think that Jan Blachowicz's power is very based on the aggression of his opponent. So if you're looking for Jan Blachowicz to score a KO here, Reyes almost got stupidly aggressive on Blachowicz because he was like really feeling the body kicks. He started getting overly aggressive and trying to like make something happen before, you know, he took too much damage to even be able to make something happen. So he sort of went for broke in the second round or third round, whenever it was, and then got finished after coming in with like a jab to a lead hook afterwards combo from Jan Blachowicz. And then you look at some of the other losses. Rockhold was rushing in, trying to get the clinch as desperately as he could, and Jan Blachowicz was able to land on him with that left hook. And then you've got other guys that Jan Blachowicz KO'd in. Jimmy Manuwa, and Manuwa was getting aggressive. He's a bit of a glass cannon himself as well, but he didn't even chin him. And Corey Anderson was crashing forward, trying to keep the pressure on. I think Ankalaev, he's not a pressure grappler. He'll sit back and wait for opportunistic moments. And even though he got submitted by Paul Craig years ago, which is why I don't think Jan's going to have anything for him on the ground. Even though he got submitted by Paul Craig years ago, and I get that people are always going to look back at that loss and say, lol, he lost to Paul Craig. How bad does he have to be? And all this type of stuff. But it was his debut in the promotion at the end of the day. He was a very young guy at the time. He's only 30 years of age now. And this was back in, I mean, when was this? 2000 and when? This was in 2018. So he was still like 26, new to the UFC. And he was dominating the whole fight. Not the whole fight really, really impressively, but he was winning the whole fight, you know, and he was dominating the third round. And, you know, Paul Craig's not one to be messed around with on the ground. And he was still able to be okay on top of Paul Craig for what? Nearly 7 minutes of that 15-minute fight. So, yeah, able to reverse when he ended up on bottom. I just really believe in the options of Ankalaev. He can lead the dance. He's got good boxing, good defense. As long as he doesn't get over aggressive and get caught for it, I reckon he wins. I can even see a front kick to the face. I don't know why I've got a comb in my hand. But I can even see, as I'm pointing to you, I can even see like a front kick to the face from Ankalaev. If he throws a lot of head kicks, a lot of hooks, you know what I mean? Starts keeping it like all around the sides of Blachowicz, and Blachowicz trying to check and lift up his hands. And I think it's like a natural defense mode shell. When you lift up your guard, you start tucking your chin down into stuff. And even if he feints a couple of takedowns and gets Jan to react to them, I can see Ankalaev at one point in this fight looking down, boom, front kick right to the face of Jan Blachowicz, maybe hurting him with it. So I think that's an option as well. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go with a decision win, though, for Ankalaev, 49-46. Loses the first round, but as the fight goes on, he'll have more ways to win, and he'll win the last 4 rounds using his grappling. Toodle pip. See you later. Goodbye.